I just got back from Arizona and I brought with me a couple special vehicles. So these are my 79 Suzuki GS425 and my 76 Datsun 280Z. The motorcycle I've owned actually off and on. I sold it to a friend and bought it back years later for 5 or actually more like 10 years. The Z I've owned since 2003. So I bought it in 2003, not running. Motor was halfway apart. The whole car looked like it had taken shotgun blasts, rust holes everywhere. So, got the original motor running. I think it had a bad head gasket, kept blowing coolant out the top. So, got a new motor for it in 2006. And this is a special engine. I was looking at RB20s at the time, so I didn't have a very big budget. It was a straight 6. It made okay power. And then my dad found this on the internet, and we bought it as a engine, trans, ECU, everything, the whole thing. There it is, 82 L28 ET. So this went in the car about 2006. It made 153 horsepower and 179 foot-pounds of torque to the wheels. So it goes in on the stock mounts. We spliced in the wiring at the time. All the other emissions control and regulation stuff hooks right up. Throttle, fuel, all in the exact same spot. Super, super easy swap. But as you can see, we've done a little bit of modifying. So let me just give you a fairly brief rundown of all the modifications done to this car. Let's start with the engine. So this engine has a Z31 turbo off the later, it's like 87, 89, water cooled. It's got a water cooled, oil lubed center housing. We've got a Innovate wideband. It's kind of taken apart right now, but all that shielding is there. So we got rid of the J-pipe that normally goes from the turbo straight into the intake on the stock setup. And we've done a same side front mount intercooler from Spearco. So that's 2.5 inch inlet and outlet. I built custom mounts using some plate and wire, welded it together, painted it black. I did have to trim out the radiator core to get those pipes to pass through there, but not a big deal. This car was basically a throwaway when I bought it. So then before the throttle body, we've got a Greddy RS blow-off valve. For boost control, we just have a, I can't remember. What does that say? Circuit 7 manual boost controller. It's set right at about 11 PSI. Injectors are stock. Everything else is stock. the fuel pump was upgraded to a Walbro 255. And then we've got just a Champion aluminum radiator. Alright, let's move on to brakes and suspension. So up front, Toyota S12W calipers, custom spacer right now. Just some blank 300ZX rotors. We've got Porterfield sport pads, some Rota, what do they call them? Rota Grid V, T37V knockoff. I know, but budget. And for suspension, you can tell you can't see anything because it's pretty dumped. It's on Tokiko Alumina advanced handling kit. So that's Tokiko Alumina shocks and springs, and the springs have been cut all around. So they were linear springs, so cutting them increased the spring rate. She rides pretty firm now. We've got some MSA mudguards. We've got some MSA headlight covers. We've got MSA early fiberglass bumpers, just mounted with custom mounts. We've got a MSA air dam with the brake cooling ducts. I have not routed all that yet. That's one of the things on the list. Get all that routed. In the rear, same suspension setup, stock drums with Porterfield sport pads. Running 255 50 16 Bridgestone Potenza RE71Rs. Love these tires. Alright, so we've got a new steering wheel from MPI. We've got a Steeda Triax shifter. It's a Borg Warner T5 transmission. Rebuilt the synchros a couple years ago. Feels really great. The rear end is a stock R200 welded. I've got MSA fiberglass early bumpers, and I've got genuine Japanese tails. Exhaust is just a custom 2.5 inch. All right, we got new spark plugs, new spark plug wires. And then this has been all apart, all back together. Made sure everything's nice and tight. 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 Sealed up. So hot pipe to intercooler to cold pipe, blow off valve adapter. Everything's good to the throttle body. The MAF and the air cleaner for the turbo inlet are good. We got vacuum to the blow off valve. All this other stuff is fine. Injector connectors are good. Fuel pressure regulator is good. Nice vacuum connection there. We've got all these other vacuum leads going to the canister and whatever else. They're all good. They're fine. This one's broken over here. It's the air conditioning idle raise. I don't know if that's gonna be a vacuum leak when I start it up or not. I don't think that these little modules work at all anymore. So that doesn't work. So the wideband O2 sensor is in, it's hooked up, everything's good down here. I went through these dropping resistors, properly grounded the shell to the chassis. Everything else is plugged up or connected as it should be, so let's give it a try.